Hi, today I have another writing software review for you. In the comments of my last NovelPad video, there were a lot of requests for comparisons, and one that came up a lot was Novlr. So I bought the premium version of Novlr and spent some time on the site drafting a project, hanging out on their Discord. I don't want to make you go watch the other video, and it's also kind of out of date, so I'm going to go over NovelPad as well. We're going to go through the writing process for both of them from project creation to export. We'll go over the pros and cons of each, and I'll tell you which one I like better. This is going to be really in-depth. I hope you brought a snack. Let's start with NovelPad. So NovelPad works in browser on any device, but I don't really like to draft in browser because I'm easily distracted, so I just click this, open. Now we're out of the browser. So to create a new project, you either click this little gray guy, ta-da, it's a new project, or if you have an existing one and you would like to import it, you can import it from Microsoft Word. So when you're importing a NovelPad from Word, you're gonna do a couple formatting things like replacing the scene breaks with hashes and formatting your chapters as headings. It's pretty simple, but I'm gonna try to link an importing tutorial in the description. So setting up the project, first of all, gross, cool. Your title goes here. Your name goes there, and then this is a description of the project, because I don't know if you saw how many projects I have. You didn't even see my archive page, but you can just describe what it is. This is a book. And from there, you can either start drafting, or if you're a planner, we've got a few other things you can do. If we go to characters, add a character. Their name is, what's your name? Emily. It's gonna be really creepy for a few people. And then if you have any nicknames like M, Mom, whatever the character is referred to, you put in, I'll tell you why in a second. And then this is just an empty note for you to put whatever character type shit you wanna do. If we go to chapter 1, we say anything. Hello, Emily. And then let's make a new scene and say, hi, Emily. Both of the scenes appear under that character. That's why we put in the nicknames, so that any scene that this character's involved in is gonna come right here. And this is really helpful for like following character arcs and tightening those up a little bit. You have this main spot where you can write character stuff, but if you're somebody who loves some formatting and some crazy shit, right here you can link notes to a character. And a note can be anything. Hi, Emily again. You organize it into folders if you'd like, but the coolest thing is you can link to shit. So now I'm gonna link it to that character. When we go over here, our note shows up. You can also use this to track anything. It doesn't have to be characters. It can be a dog or an amulet, whatever. You would just put every word that's used to refer to that thing, and it's all gonna show up in chronological order. Okay, and then you've got locations, which is kind of the same deal. Emily's house, and you have like that main page of description, and you can link any note to it. Okay, so we've got Emily's house, and then if we go to our chapters page with those scene cards, we can add the location here. And then when you're on the locations page, you can see everything that happens there in chronological order. And again, you don't have to use these features. It's just if you like higher levels of organization, it's there. And the plot board is kind of the same deal. You're gonna manually add these. So if you have subplots or romance arcs or whatever else you'd like to track, you would assign that here, and then you'd see all of the scenes involved in that plot in order. So that's the basic groundwork that you can set up ahead of time if you want to. Like every writer alive, backups are pretty important to me. I hate losing work. I've lost work with Microsoft Word and with Scrivener and with Cold Turkey. That one was my fault, but still. Anyway, NovelPad has a couple different ways that they keep your work safe. One of them is automatic saves to a secure cloud every 60 seconds. So you'll never lose more than a minute of work if something tragic were to happen. That sounded a little threatening, sorry. And then 2, they have something called Rewind, which is where you can reset a project to any day or time and it restores that version. So if you restore something and you hate it, you can just restore back to when you restored it. Anyway, it's all tucked away and I don't worry about it. Okay, let's look at our setting options. Dark mode is imperative or I am leaving the party. You can adjust the font size, the line spacing, the paragraph spacing, whether or not your first paragraph is indented, because unindenting it is kind of the grammatical standard, your page width, and the text alignment. You can choose the way it numbers chapters or don't. Dark mode, typewriter, or standard. This is the Pro Writing Aid integration. You can enable or disable it, and you can also specify what you want it to check for. Some people will just disable this while they're drafting because they don't want to get hung up and edit things while they're there. And smart quotes is just if you want your quotation marks to be lines or the little curlies. And then here are the scene color labels. So these are fully customizable. You can pick literally any color in the world and then label it. And you can use this to mark your scenes with whatever you want. I've seen people use it for like the character POV, for the stage of writing it's in, like editing, drafting, finished, the mood of a scene so that you can kind of track what the vibes are like throughout. This is our goals page. So you can see your progress in words and in minutes, and that's where it tells you how far you are from today's goal. And here you can set goals. It can either be words or minutes, per day, per week, per month, or total. And then this is just if you want it to track it in only the live manuscript or all scenes that you're working on. You set your start date and your end date, and then your weekly writing schedule. You put kind of the heaviness of, so I'm gonna set it to 6,000 per month. Let's go from today to that day, save. And then it gives you this cute little calendar. And you see I said no writing on Monday, there's no words assigned on Monday, and then it evenly spreads out the rest of it based on how heavy of a writing day you want to have. Adapt schedule to progress is where, so if you're supposed to write 109 words on this day and you write 500, the rest of the schedule is gonna automatically update for you to reflect how close you are to your goal. So you can underwrite or overwrite and you don't have to redo the math. And then you can add sprints or vacations. So if you're gonna write a lot more than normal or not at all, you can customize it like that. So if you're like taking a weekend off, or if you're taking a weekend super on, you can track that as well. I like it, it's all like very controlled. Okay, now the fun part, let's look at drafting. So drafting can be done in the main manuscript here or individually on the scene cards. Oops, sorry Emily, I didn't mean to scratch you out. Okay. The chapters page is my favorite. You can toggle between columns or rows. You can click and drag your scenes and chapters to reorder stuff really easily. And this is where we set those elements we were talking about. The color labels, the locations, and the plot. And then you can set the date. And some writers use this to mark like the last time they worked on a scene, but I use it to track when we are in the book. I used to keep a separate spreadsheet to track my timeline because I was really bad at keeping track of it in my head. And you can scroll right up that scene list. Are you writing fan fiction about Jesus's grandson? We can do it. And this is the highlight button. Again, you can assign whatever colors you'd like, and you can leave comments. So over here, this is show comments or hide them. So if you're editing, you'll probably want to see your comments or someone else's because there are sharing capabilities. And you can disable the formatting dropdown, which is great because some writers like to highlight as they read and they don't want the little dropdown in the way. It's me, I'm writers. I don't think anyone else does that. Do you do that? Let me know. I love offline mode because I can write here at my desk, but I can also write on the bus on my phone, on a library computer, on your mama's iPad. It's anywhere you want it to be. It's obviously available online since you can access it anywhere. We can also write offline, which is what I typically do because I'm easily distracted. So I turn off my Wi-Fi when I write. Then the next time you're online, it'll sync and those changes will be available on any device. I also don't need to have internet connection to initially open the projects because I put it on my desktop. I clicked the little window. So for the proofreader, NovelPad has that Pro Writing Aid integration that I showed you. If you have the Pro Writing Aid extension on your browser already, you're gonna wanna disable it because they just kind of holler over each other and it's a hot mess. Y'all need to be nice. The chickens are fighting. But like we looked at earlier, you can customize what it's suggesting or turn it off entirely. I do want to talk about the notes feature a little bit because I love it. Notes are great for world building, research, characters, outlining, that information that you typically keep in like 15 Microsoft Word documents and a bunch of sticky notes around your office. I am projecting. So you can organize them into folders. Like I said, you can title everything Emily's folder, Emily's note. And then within this, you can use all the formatting options that we saw on the drafting page. Like I said earlier, you can link a note to a scene, a plot, a character, a location, another note. And then if you go up to this little thumbtack, you split screen it. Oh my God. So if you need to reference something while you're writing, oh, it's so nice. Oh my goodness. This is really good for writing fantasy or like probably a really big nonfiction, just something that you have a ton of research or world building or notes on. Okay, this next one might be my favorite NovelPad feature actually. I feel like I keep saying that. So when you're on the chapters page, you may have seen this earlier if you were reading ahead. This little button, create revision. Are y'all seeing this? So you can make an infinite amount of revisions. Then you can swap which one is in the live manuscript with that little button. And it's so nice because I rewrite my stuff to absolute shit. And I'm so bad at labeling documents. And even if you're really good at labeling documents, it's so much easier to compare if it's in one program and it's so good. And do you ever like rewrite a scene and then you decide that you want to revert back to the other one and maybe you didn't even save the original one? You can save all of them here forever. And it's all connected to the one scene, so you don't lose anything. You can easily swap them out if you want to read the whole chapter with each to see which one works better. So the Insights page is quite unique. I like it. So the gist of this is you can cross-reference elements of your book. So you can do chapters, characters, dates, locations, or colors, which is the scene labels, by whatever else. Let's do locations. So this is every scene that Emily's in that happens at Emily's house. So you can use that to geographically track that character. If we want to see how involved a character is with a certain subplot, we can see that. You can do characters by characters to see all the ones that 2 of them appear in. I can't begin to list all the ways that you could use this, so use your imagination. And then downloading your novel. So you can export it as a Microsoft Word document, and then you can select what you want to take with it. So say you're done with NovelPad, you don't want to use it, you can take all of your notes and your character bios and stuff. Or if you finished your book and you want to export it, the cover page and the manuscript, you can download it as an EPUB and a markdown as well. So if you go do the 2-week free trial, you plan a whole book and then you decide NovelPad's not for you, you can download all of it. They're not going to hold you hostage. Another aspect I'm looking into for both Novlr and NovelPad is their community, because writing can be such a solitary thing that I feel like anything you're going to outsource or any program you're going to use is a good opportunity to have some kind of community benefit out of it. A lot of writers don't have access to a community of writers or to people in general. I know y'all aren't leaving the house. So NovelPad has an active Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Discord. Their Discord had under 1,000 users last time I checked, but it's growing all the time. The developers are super duper responsive to questions and bug reports. There are also a lot of users that will jump in and answer the question first. So far, it's been a very positive, supportive community. The Instagram posts author spotlights whenever a NovelPad author publishes a book. Very cute. The coolest thing though is that a NovelPad account will give you access to a writing workshop. It's hosted in their Discord channel, and they will match you up with a handful of other writers in your genre, teach you how to run a workshop, and then you can give and receive feedback and kind of learn from other writers. Very cool. Okay, we're gonna look at Novlr next, but I'm gonna go charge my light and get a snack. BRB. No time's gonna pass for you, don't worry. Oh my god, hi, hello, we're back. I shouldn't have started recording yet, I'm so thirsty. Okay, now we are looking at Novlr. So from a marketing perspective, I really like their homepage. I like this little interactive preview. It's cute, it's showing everything that the site's got to offer. Awesome. Okay, then we go to our dashboard. So to make a new project, you hit create, and then you can do novel, short story, poems, novella, nonfiction, general. All of them, or at least some of them, I don't know if it's all of them, have slightly different templates. Oh, that's so funny. They just now added something where you can click and drag. Look at that. That's inspired. Oh, and you can nest them within each other. Okay, so this is still the same as last time I looked at it. So you can make a sub-document. So if this were a chapter, this is a scene, this is a chapter, this is a scene. And if you can tell by how I'm navigating this, they don't have a full manuscript view, which is interesting. You can add a cover image, which is nice. You can add your title, add a synopsis. Okay, so for backups, you can set it to Google Drive or Dropbox and make it automatic either daily or weekly. I recommend daily, but also that kind of makes me nervous because that leaves a lot of wiggle room. I drafted with Novlr for a few weeks and I never had any problems losing work, but that's not a very long time, so I don't really want to sign my name to your work is safe. There can always be a problem, and I haven't experienced dealing with a problem, so use your own discretion. So for settings, like I said, if dark mode's not an option, I will not be in the room. You can't change the fonts a lot. You can do serif, sans, or mono, and then change the size, and then indent paragraphs, curly quotes. The proofreader is the same as NovelPad. They both use Pro Writing Aid. You can't make it do only spelling, style, or grammar. It does all of them or it does none of them. Then you can hide the inline comments. You can also do this in the drafting page. There's a toggle for comments and for Pro Writing Aid. This is notifications if you want to subscribe to their email. And then success nudges are very cute. This is probably my favorite thing about Novlr. Whenever you hit a certain word count or something, there's a little message that comes up that encourages you. It's quite precious. And then you have these support options: chat, email, Discord. I did interact with them on Discord a little bit, more on that later. And then on the goals page, we've got the writing streak. A lot of people like to track their productivity by did I do this today or not, and not break their streak. So that's probably going to be very motivating for a lot of people. You can connect to NaNoWriMo, which you can also do with NovelPad. And then here's your daily writing goal. So you can set it to the number of words you want, and then if it's in a certain project or over all of your projects. You can also do a monthly goal. And then at analytics, you've got the words written today, your overall word count, the percentage change from this month to last month, and the words you've deleted. They have a little productivity section. This is your writing pace, so it tells you the words per day. Your favorite day to write is Monday. That's kind of cute. They tell you what kind of writer you are, and then you write the most in the afternoon, and then they link to their blog and tell you about like writers who write then and stuff like that. Very cute. Again, their marketing is pretty stellar. It tells you the average words per doc. I don't really know what good that, like personally, that doesn't matter to me, but maybe someone likes it. And then your creative profile, this is showing you how much time you've spent on each project. These look like you should be able to shuffle them around or like delete them, you know what I mean? So if you're the kind of writer that really likes looking at numbers and kind of like doing anything that's not writing, I get it. This could be fun to look at and maybe motivational. Okay, so when we're actually drafting in Novlr, I would show you the project I was working on, but it is porn. So we have the comment toggle. You can full screen. Did my screen recorder stop when I full screened? Hold on. Anyway, trust me that you can full screen. Then we have our notes, which are just blank documents. I think you can put as many as you'd like. Planning is the new section where you can shuffle them or nest them. How do you unnest? Can I like drag it out? Okay, so if you want to unnest, that seems to be the only way to do it, is to drag it somewhere else. I don't love it. I don't know if I'm being particularly clumsy, but I keep accidentally dropping it in the wrong place. For making a new scene, you use 3 hyphens or 3 asterisks in a row, I want to say. Yeah. And you can also add comments attributed to whatever highlighted portion. So for their offline version, when you lose internet connection, it tells you that it's switching to offline mode and your progress is going to be saved to your device and then re-uploaded when you have connection again. The only uses I see for this is if you have a spotty internet connection at home, or maybe you're a passenger on a road trip stopping at McDonald's every now and then. Because you can't start with no internet, it's stuck in the browser, which I'm sure is fine for some writers, but for me, I feel, okay, hear me out. Being in a browser feels like I'm sitting on my porch. So it's like, I'm kind of comfortable. I'm on my own property, but being out of the browser is like being inside. It's like, okay, now I can be myself. Does that make sense? Sound off in a comment if you get me. So I'm not an expert, but for me, I don't consider that to be truly offline availability. But this is a good feature as far as not losing work or having to cut a writing session short because you lost internet. And for writing itself, I just find it really interesting that you can't look at your whole manuscript at once. You have to tab through the chapters, which could be fine, but if you want to just like horse blind or write, you can't do that. You have to expand the sidebar in order to swap or add chapters. That doesn't work super well with my writing style in particular because I tend to have a small summary at the bottom of my chapter and I like drag it along with me as I write. And it's kind of harder to do with this. And I don't know, man, I don't like clicking. Let me know how y'all feel about it. I know that I'm a little bit weird with my processes sometimes. So yeah, I don't like that there isn't a full manuscript view for the way that I write, and I can imagine several other scenarios where it might not be ideal. So you can add your chapters and subchapters and click and drag them if you're very precise. Don't make fun of me for being clunky. When I was writing, the click and drag didn't make a lot of sense since you can't see your full manuscript, but now that they have this planning section, you could just write a synopsis for each scene and then kind of get the overview. So their last update did improve it a lot for me. I wish I could click and like unnest. It just won't let me. Okay, I figured it out. If you actually click the subchapter and then click it and go back to all sections and drop it, and then you go back to all sections, then you can see it. So the lack of having a full manuscript did bother me enough that I asked about it in the Discord channel just to see if I was like missing the option, and they suggested that I draft in one chapter with scene breaks, but also don't do that because it can't handle that many words at once, which is a problem you can have with Google Docs for free. Another thing I missed a lot about NovelPad is that you can't see how many words are in each scene. I use that to balance my chapters because I have like a pretty bad gauge of how long something is. So I definitely miss that feature. But I really like the little motivational pop-ups. Are these words? Do they count? Maybe those don't count because they're not words. It stopped working. Did I toggle it off on accident? Hold on. For some reason, I can't trigger a success nudge, so there it goes. I reckon you're onto something. 500 words written already today. Which will feel better, the first 1,000 words today or the second? Not bad, old chap. Time to start on the second 100 words. I think that's very cute. So one aspect of Novlr that really slaps, I don't know why this isn't an option on NovelPad since they both use Pro Writing Aid, but when you highlight a word, it gives you synonyms. I also like that it underlines in different colored fonts. So like misspellings are red, etc. I don't really, okay, passive voice is yellow. I don't know the system, but they're different colors and it's cute. cute. You can also add words to your dictionary. That's really easy to do. It's just a click right there so that you can stop getting underlines on your 15-syllable fantasy names. For exporting, you can do it as Microsoft Word, PDF, or ODT, and you can select the, it says line height. Why didn't I just read that and say line height? Why did I do this for 10 minutes? Anyway, and you can go out here to export it as the entire project. It says create ebook. That's new. Hold on. So you put your cover on Dragonfly. Okay, we got our cover, 16 chapters, create ebook. What's it gonna do? Oh, downloaded it as an EPUB. Let me see how it looks. Looks about how you think an EPUB would look. Okay, but you can already download it as an EPUB, can't you? Create ebook and export as EPUB is the same thing. So as far as community support goes, I asked a question in the Discord one day and got a response in 3 minutes from, I believe, one of the developers, which is a crazy response time. She also added some information instead of just answering my question. That was nice. But a few weeks later, I asked about the full manuscript view, and this one went unanswered until the next day. I have a feeling it's because the first time the answer was good news and the second time it wasn't, but that is speculation. Maybe everyone was just busy because the first question was at 11 a.m. The second one was at 2 p.m. My favorite thing about Novlr's community is how organized their Discord is. It all looks thoughtfully and intentionally put together. One thing that I found interesting on Novlr is this little co-ownership tab. Would you like to become a co-owner of Novlr? Novlr will be a majority owned by its writers. This gives you a say in how the platform is run, but also gives us a collective voice that we can use to empower change. One-time buy-in fee bundled with a Novlr Pro lifetime membership for writers who are already lifetime members. You can buy into owning a part of Novlr, which presumably means that you can have a say in like electing board members and eventually receive profit distributions. On one hand, seize the means, absolutely, I love it. Anything that's co-owning, I'm usually into. So that does tickle the fancy, but on the other hand, serving Gavroche a little bit. Like there's no guarantee that you will receive distributions because there's no guarantee that it will be profitable. I kind of doubt that it is right now, and I think that's why this exists. But that is an assumption. It's an interesting premise, but I'm not gonna personally recommend anyone participate. Okay, so those are the two programs we're dealing with. We're gonna do a little flyover of what I think both of their strengths are. So for Novlr, they have like a learning page and resources that could be helpful as it gets more developed. I found the progress pop-ups to be quite encouraging. They did genuinely make me want to keep writing, which I wasn't expecting. Novlr has like a friendly face. It's nice that you can put cover images on your books. Right now you can't do that with NovelPad. I'm pretty sure it's in the next update. Don't quote me on that. So again, Novlr just looks friendlier. The streaks and stats are really cute, and I could see that being motivating for a lot of writers. Some people might say that the fact that Novlr has a free version is a strength. The free Novlr is basically a less robust Google Docs, and you can't share your project for feedback. I don't think I can recommend Novlr unless you plan to purchase the premium version. Okay, my favorite NovelPad features. I love the notes and that you can link anything in the notes to anything else. The customizable adaptable goals page. Insights where we can cross-reference all those different story elements. The chapters overview page with the draggable scenes and chapters for easy rearranging. The character plot and location tracking, as well as the time sets and scene labels. Basically, the quicker you can find and identify scenes, the better the writing experience is, especially for those bigger projects. I tend to get overwhelmed if my project is very long because I need a way to visualize the whole thing at once or I'm drowning. So I'm really into how much stuff you can track on your scenes and how like condensed and easy to digest it is. The side-by-side revisions was sent down from God. Like, I'm not kidding. The revisions feature alone would justify me paying for a NovelPad subscription. Out-of-browser drafting is great. I just really don't like drafting in browser. That's a big reason Google Docs never work too well for me. The saves and rewind. Rewind and revisions make me feel similarly. Like, no matter how much I mess up this project, I can always go back to a version that I like better. It's also just another way to kind of back up your stuff. There's a feature in NovelPad where you highlight the words. Did I already talk about this? But you can highlight the words and it'll tell you how many words are highlighted, as well as how many are in the scene. I really missed that while I was drafting with Novlr. I use it all the time. Couldn't tell you why. I just like to know. You can see the whole manuscript at once. Huge. Unskippable. bare minimum. I think this was the biggest difference that I noticed between Novlr and NovelPad while I was writing. I want the option to scroll my whole story without having to click around, especially when I'm revising and editing. I feel like I'm really hitting the metaphors today, but writing with Novlr felt like riding the brake, and writing with NovelPad felt like you're going 140 down the highway because you're 17 and just got a car, but safer because they have automatic backups every 60 seconds. Okay, those were my individual praises of both of them. Now we're gonna get down to actually ranking different features. This video has been so long, right? I'm so sorry. So I'm gonna tell you which one was my favorite for organizational features, price, drafting, editing, aesthetic, community, goals and analytics. That way you can kind of pick the features that you value the most to decide which one's for you. For organizational features, gotta go NovelPad all the way. The more customizable and linkable notes, the color labels, the analytics, the chapters board, the revision saves, the location tracking, everything's squared away, but it's also not required. Like, you don't have to use any of those features. You can pick and choose. You'll still get a really good writing experience. Novlr has notes, and I think that is a good start. And I like that they have the click and drag and nesting moment, but NovelPad by a mile on this one. Okay, everyone wants to know the pricing. Novlr has their free version, which is worse than Google Docs. I can't recommend it. Then we have Plus and Pro. Plus is $5 per month, $48 for the year. Pro is $18 a month or $168 for the year, and you can read the differences between them. And I know that Novlr did change a little bit about their free version. Like, they used to only let you have one project, period, but now you can only have one live project, so you can archive other ones. That's a very big improvement, I think. NovelPad is $15 monthly, $120 for the year, plus you get access to the writing workshops. For context, I ran writing workshops out of my Discord as a Patreon tier a while back, and that was $20 a month. You're essentially making $5 a month by buying NovelPad, if that's how math worked. So not factoring in workshops,
NovelPad is still $48 cheaper per year.
So for drafting, NovelPad's ease of starting a new scene is great. You just hit Shift-Enter. On Novlr, it's pretty simple to add a new scene, but it does take more buttons. 3 asterisks and then enter, so Shift 888 enter. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but I did very much notice it while I was writing. It's just like one of those little things where if you add them all up, you're wasting 15 minutes of your writing session just using the software. You also don't get the full manuscript view on Novlr, which I feel like is the one thing a writing software should do. It should let you see the words you're writing. For NovelPad, I like the chapters page for the scene shuffle and the descriptions for an overview of the whole book. Like I said, I need that or I'm floating in space. Space is really scary. I never watched that Sandra Bullock movie. I think that's the only Sandra Bullock movie I haven't watched. So yeah, I like the chapters board overview, and I like that you can reference things while you're writing by pinning the notes, and you can view the full manuscript. So there's a lot about NovelPad that puts it far, far above for me in terms of actually drafting. For editing, NovelPad has the side-by-side revisions, and you can share chapters with other people where they can leave you comments and highlights. Novlr and NovelPad both have Pro Writing Aid with a subscription, which is super nice. For whatever reason, the way Novlr uses it is way cooler. So point to Novlr there, but ultimately, the revision function takes the cake. This NovelPad again. For aesthetic, okay, by aesthetic, I mean like the atmosphere of the writing software. You remember that shit I said about sitting on a porch? So it's like the feel of it. If your writing program has a bad atmosphere, you're not gonna wanna get into it and write. I'm not saying NovelPad has a bad one, but Novlr was a little cozier other than the browser aspect. So Novlr lets you put cover images. NovelPad doesn't offer image support yet, though that is coming. Novlr has the cute little encouraging messages that come up when you hit a milestone. Love that. Another thing that I found cute is that they do try to pull you into the community as a whole and onto their blog. So atmospherically, Novlr gets that point. For community, at first glance, Novlr might have a leg up in the community because there's literally a community tab, but all it does is link to socials, and NovelPad has all of those socials as well. I'm in both Discords, and while I'm filming this video, Novlr has a few hundred more members, whether you find that to be a pro or a con. They both have the standard threads that you'd expect: resources, writing prompts, announcements, feature requests. Novlr is a lot more dynamic in the way that their Discord is set up. There's a great feature request system that I found very impressive because I still can't figure out how to use Discord. And you can go look in the NovelPad Discord and the question threads. It's usually within 10 minutes they get a response, so pretty good response time in both on average. NovelPad also has those writing workshops, which is huge. So they pull pretty far ahead in the community aspect for me as well. For goals and analytics, NovelPad definitely has the upper hand in setting goals just because of how specific you can get with it and how kind of intuitive it is. So NovelPad is for sure winning that competition. Novlr's in a different competition. But Novlr has more specific analytics for the writers over time. So we've got words written per day, month, and year with a nice little graph, your growth by month. Then at the productivity tab, which is available on the premium accounts, you can see the time spent writing, the times of day and days of the week you spend writing, and your writing pace. I could see this data being really helpful in strategizing your writing time. So like if you experiment writing different times a day, you might be able to see which times you're actually more productive. So that could be helpful for like planning and scheduling writing sessions. So Novlr has the upper hand with accessibility to writer analytics. NovelPad has the upper hand in actual goal setting. I think writers could prefer one or the other. Personally, I find the goal setting features of NovelPad more helpful for the way that I write, but I did like looking at my Novlr data. It's just cute. I'll call this one a tie. So that's 5.5 points for NovelPad, 1.5 for Novlr, specifically for my style and preference of writing. I could probably see some people choosing Novlr over NovelPad because Novlr has a free version, which is a good way to test it out, but I don't think the free version works for sustainable use. Like I said, you'd be better off using Google Docs. But now they do let you have multiple archive novels and only one live versus only one project. So that is a little level up if that sways anyone. But this is something I found interesting. Based on like the blog content and socials and resources, it looks like Novlr might be leaning more toward traditionally published writers, while NovelPad leans towards self-published. Whether either one serves a demographic better than the other, I'm not sure, but based on their content, I believe that's what they're going for. So that means in the future, as they're developing tools and resources, one group of authors will likely be more catered to. So that might be a way that you decide for yourself. Novlr might be better for trad pubs, NovelPad might be better for self-pubs. For me, based on layout, price point, organizational features, and tools like the side-by-side revisions and chapters overview, I am still a NovelPad girly all the way. I feel like I gave Novlr a good shot, but it just wasn't for me. So I'm not saying that Novlr is a bad program. I think everyone will have their preferences. And like I said, I think traditionally published authors might be a little better served in that space, while self-published authors might not be quite as attended to. So for my trad pubs, go check out Novlr. There's a free version. NovelPad has a free trial, a great NaNoWriMo discount, and their cost structure is a bit more affordable than Novlr. So I absolutely recommend trying out their free trial. It's no credit card, no commitment. If you don't like it, download all your shit. You'll still have access to it after your trial is over. Both of these options are going to be linked in the description. Them's my thoughts. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if I missed a strength or a weakness of either of these programs, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello. I think that's recording. We're back to the lav mic because hopefully it won't pick up the chickens. Can you hear anything? The peeping was cute, but now they've taken to like slamming their heads into the floor.